2, 1.
We have Buddhism, and I'm Morgan.
I'm Brooke.
I'm Lizzie.
I'm Chris.
So the origins of Buddhism can be traced back to Siddhartha Gautama, and he didn't really plan to found a new religion because he was the founder of a new sect called Saramanas, and those people, the Saramanas, were people who rejected the Vedic faith, which was the current religion at the time, about 500 BCE. And once Siddhartha Gautama died, his teachings were adapted by his followers into religious movements, which later became the foundations of Buddhism.
Buddhism was founded in India and it spread throughout Asia, and later it diminished in India because of Muslim invasions and Hinduism advancements. And today it's only practiced by a few in India.
Schisms of Buddhism. Theravada was split into 12 different subsects, and then Mahayana was split into 6, and they were the original or the traditional. The 4 schools that survived were the Vabhasika, Satrain-tika, Madhyam Eka, Voiga Kera.
Because Buddhism was very peaceful, there were very few extremists in the religion, but the extremists were called militant Buddhists, and they were known for being violent whenever it was needed. And Buddhism was very small, so people were really scared that it was not going to be practiced, and it was it got eliminated.
Expanding and growing, Buddhism expanded because of trade routes, like most religions do, because people would travel on them, take their ideas with them, and Buddhism was they used trade routes for their missionary activities. And at first people were very hesitant to adopt Buddhism because it's so peaceful, it's kind of viewed as unproductive and pointless, which it's not. And as time goes on, some of the older teachings become more irrelevant, and things like moralized karma, repeated existence, which is reincarnation, and liberation are not really practiced in the Buddhism world.
Okay, for printing, we chose to make stupa temples. We chose to make stupa temples because they were a spiritual place of the Buddhist. They are important to every branch and doesn't change with each break-off. And they were originally built to house the earthly remains of Buddhas. And this is our rough draft, yeah. These are our sources.
Okay. So what's the difference between Mahayana Buddhism and Theravada Buddhism?
Theravada Buddhism is the oldest, and Mahayana Buddhism is a physical movement, or philosophical movement. Sorry.
Okay. So within Theravada, being the oldest, which one believes in reincarnation?
Theravada.
How, they believe in nonviolence, ahimsa. How do the extremists reconcile their violent tendencies with ahimsa in Buddhism?
Well, they say that they don't want to use violence, but they feel if they don't, then they're gonna get extinct. They're gonna become extinct. So they have moralized violence, kind of, where they'll use it only when absolutely needed.
Does anybody else have any other questions before I continue?
Are those schools that you listed, are they churches?
They're
Or do they teach the religion?
I think it means like parts,
like branches kind of.
yeah.
Oh,
sorry. Oh.
So, what do you know about Ahsoka?
Is that like one of the
No,
symbols?
don't ask me. What do you know about Ahsoka? And what was his relevance to Buddhism in India? Ahsoka was a Hindu king who attacked a city called Kalinga, and there was 100,000 people murdered right then and there, and then thousands more died afterwards from injuries and such. And he realized his violence was unnecessary. Converted to Buddhism, is responsible for the greatest spread of Buddhism in India and Asia at the time. They saw the greatest growth under his lifetime than they did any other time in history.
Hey, did y'all give a ballpark of how many practicing Buddhists there are currently?
There's very few, cause like it's like decreasing in India. I don't know how many like in number wise, but I just know it's very few.
And what about the rest of the world?
It's mainly in Asia, so the rest of the world's kind of like India, where it's not really there.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Well, Chris, I don't know if anyone in that group, it's like, for like the India, like since it's mostly Buddhist and like Hindu, is there like a bigger ratio of like Buddhism or Hinduism?
In India, there's gonna be more Hinduism.
Eli?
I was gonna ask, isn't it mostly like in China or something?
Yeah, cause there was a big spread of it in China under the Han Dynasty.
Now, that's an important point. Eddie, go ahead.
Yeah, with Buddhism, because I feel like vaguely I remember because I have a aunt who is Buddhist, she's Japanese, and I feel like this is something that I've heard her talk about, but like I'm not 100% sure. When you were reading about Buddhism, did you read anything about ancestral veneration, like in regards to Buddhism?
What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
Like respecting your ancestors?
Yeah, there's like, I don't know how to explain it, but they are gonna like respect people because it's so peaceful and like respect, and if that makes sense at all.
So to jump back, according to this at least, about 10% of the humans on Earth are Buddhist. So 1 out of every 10 human beings practices Buddhism. It's somewhere between 395, no. And so basically like between, sorry about that, between 495 million and 535. So just by comparison, the United States has a population of 330 million. So it's at least that big.
You used Wikipedia.
I did. So that's one thing we want to double check. Yeah, they are on the decline in India, but overall they're still pretty hefty.
And they are growing in the United States, more people are looking at. Now, when you look at Buddhism and you look at other religions, how is Buddhism and is relationship, how, what I'm thinking about is Buddhism a religion or is Buddhism a philosophy?
Yeah. Could you make the argument that it's not a religion?
You could, because like we said, people were like hesitant to adopt it because it's unproductive. So it can, in some ways, be seen as non-religious because it's very peaceful and, you know, like not really fight for what you want. Because like in Christianity and Islam, they want you to believe what you want to believe or what they believe. So I don't know how to explain it.
So you're saying there's freedom of thought allowed
Yeah.
within Buddhist ideas?
Yeah.
So could you be a Buddhist as well as something else?
No.
Could you practice Buddhist philosophy while being something else? Peaceful, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Explain nirvana. Nobody mentioned nirvana. Do you guys know what nirvana is? Nirvana is all right, explain enlightenment. Do you know what enlightenment is?
I do, but
Okay, enlightenment is a state of being where you've reached understanding. Nirvana is after you pass away, and after so many reincarnations, depending if you're Theravada or Mahayana. If you're Theravada, it's multiple reincarnations. You have to come back and continue to strive for complete enlightenment. Mahayana Buddhism says that it's after one lifetime, and they have bodhisattvas, people who have reached enlightenment, but just chose not to go to nirvana, will come and help you reach nirvana, or enlightenment nirvana. Nirvana is a state of absolute peace. No sorrow, no pain, no grief, no hatred, and there's also no love, no joy, it's complete and utter peacefulness. That's nirvana, and that's the end result of Buddhism. That's one of the most important tenets, enlightenment and nirvana of Buddhism. Yes, Steve?
Is there an afterlife in Buddhism?
No, it's nirvana.
Well, is that considered like a living?
You are one. You're.
So during Nirvana, you are living.
No, Nirvana. You become part of the universe, the forces that are, and you are at total peace.
Once you die.
If you've reached enlightenment, if not, you're reincarnated.
You have to try again.
Yeah.
I want to be reincarnated.
Yes.
So like I have like kind of two questions. So like when he was asking, so Islam like it could also be like kind of like a lifestyle. Like,
No, Islam's not a lifestyle.
I'm not Islam. This what this group does.
Yes.
Buddhism. Yeah. So it could be like somehow as a lifestyle, and like when you're in like nirvana, like for Hindu you could like become like a animal. Like is
Not
this
nirvana.
like you have to like
Nirvana is the final.
you're just nothing.
And it's hard for people of other religions and ideas to accept the idea that there's nothing. It's total peace. You are one with everything. You've reached the ultimate state.
That you finally get to rest.
Yes.
Because you've been reincarnated so many times because you keep getting it wrong. You finally get it right and you're allowed to rest, would be, I guess, how you would say that in Western culture. And it's hard to, some of these ideas, we don't have them here. So it's very hard to kind of, at first glance, try to absorb their ideas. They're just too foreign somehow. So Buddha, when he was walking around, what did he think was the one common thing among everything that is alive on this planet? Grasshoppers, people. Okay, so it was pain and suffering. All right, everything living is suffering to some extent. And you guys run into why he thought or how you can get rid of. Basically, what's the root cause of all that suffering?
No.
How did he reach, what did he physically do to himself to get to enlightenment? Did y'all read that he like starved himself and, okay.
Is this, I think it's Islamic, but I think there was like religion that they don't eat like a certain type of meat.
That's.
Pork and
That's
That's Judaism.
Islam.
Yeah, it's, yeah,
And
there's a couple of
And
those.
Hinduism. Every religion has certain aspects to it, even Christianity at one time, with the Catholicism, you don't eat on Friday.
Because you
You're
want stuff, and you can't have
There's no
it.
rain.
That's why you're sad all the time. So the only way to get rid of that is just to stop
You're in Lent, you're only taking your vegetables.
Four noble truths.
I'm so excited to play.